Hello, everybody. My name is Kurt Prendergast. I'm the opinion editor at the Arizona Daily Star. I recognize some faces from previous reader chats, but it's nice to see some new ones. Today, we have as our guest Donna Jackson-Houston. She is going to talk to us about a very interesting and often overlooked slice of history in Southern Arizona, the Buffalo Soldiers in Nogales. And she has a very personal connection to this, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing what she has to say. Without further ado, if I can just introduce Donna Jackson-Houston. I was hoping you could kind of tell us a little about yourself and how you got involved with this organization you set up.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. I am the founder and president of the Nogales Buffalo Soldiers Legacy Association, and we are newly formed just about last year. And this happened because I just recently discovered that my grandfather was a Buffalo Soldier. He served over 100 years ago in the United States Army at Camp Lejeune in Nogales, but we did not know he was a Buffalo Soldier. So that is kind of what started this whole event and this whole discovery for my family, is his place in history. And also in this discovery, realizing that there's other soldiers and families that fall under this category of not knowing this history. And how do we share this? How do we bring this attention to everybody?
Mm-hmm. And who were the Buffalo Soldiers?
The Buffalo Soldiers were the all-Black regiment of the United States Army from 1866 to 1951, when segregation was disbanded. And they served, again, the United States Army in the various battles and wars. And they were the segregated units.
Mm-hmm. And then, we have like the connection to Southern Arizona is that there was a camp for Buffalo Soldiers in Nogales. I was wondering, could you tell us a little bit about what they did, who they were?
Yes, I'm speaking about Camp Lejeune, where my grandfather and the other Buffalo Soldiers were stationed, and that is on the border of Mexico, literally on the border. Many of them came out of, they were processed through Fort Huachuca in Sierra Vista, so you might have heard of Fort Huachuca, and what Fort Huachuca has this wonderful Buffalo Soldier Museum, but specifically my story relates to Camp Lejeune and my grandfather. And I was sharing with everybody, I'm going to do this show and tell. It was in December of 2020, a year ago, that kind of started this journey for myself and my family. We went to Nogales to there is a rainbow there, and my family donated a plaque honoring and recognizing this segregated school the students of the Buffalo Soldiers attended. And at the 25th anniversary, we went ahead and put a fresh coat on the rainbow, and the Nogales International newspaper went ahead and covered the article. When I read the article, it said something about my grandfather, Lucius Franklin Monroe Jackson, came to Camp Lejeune, Nogales, in the 25th Infantry as a Buffalo Soldier. I had never heard that before. So that started my journey in asking my family, what do you know about this? And unfortunately, the response from my family was that no, our grandfather wasn't a Buffalo Soldier, because 25th Infantry wasn't a Buffalo Soldier, it was the cavalry, horseback. So there is a misconception out there that if my family can have it, I know many others can. So again, that's what started me on this journey to educate not only my family, but others. I'll stop, but there's a lot more to be said about that, but I'll take a breath.
If you would like to, but please, I'm very interested to hear what you have to say. This journey of like learning about your grandfather. I'm very curious about what's been the reaction of your family members as you've kind of taught them some of this history.
Wow. We're in this new time where everyone wants to know about one's history, learning one's family roots. There's shows on that. And not only is this a story of my family, but it's a community, the community of Nogales, learning about their historical roots, the contribution of the Buffalo Soldiers. This was just so well received. But going back to the very beginning, about a year ago, when I learned that my grandfather was a Buffalo Soldier, I really wasn't satisfied with just hearing this. I wanted to go ahead and research. So I did tons and tons of research. And that kind of ended with, in last July, a trip to Fort Huachuca to visit the Buffalo Soldier Museum, and then going to Nogales to the Primera Alta Historical Museum, where they had just recently archived a lot of the information about the Camp Little and Buffalo Soldiers. So it was at that point in July last year that I felt confident that my grandfather was a Buffalo Soldier. So again, with this newfound discovery, I thought, what can I do to acknowledge my grandfather and the other soldiers? So I came up with the idea of Black History Month, February, we're going to do something. Well, as I said earlier, little ignorance, that was 6 months. That was 6 months to put on this event that just grew. And with the support of so many, it turned out to be an amazing event. I think with all the volunteers, we probably logged in collectively over 2,000 hours putting together a museum exhibit to highlight the Buffalo Soldiers. And then the kickoff on Saturday, was January the 29th, Mayor Garino of Nogales, he had a proclamation declaring the weekend as Nogales Buffalo Soldier Weekend, and he's going to do this every year going forward. So it is so amazing. And here is a picture that many of you might have seen. So again, let's do a little bit of just briefly a show and tell. There's that picture of the newspaper. Anyway, I thought I put everything right here. And here it is. You might have seen this one. We made the front page news, and it was amazing because this talks about not only Nogales, Arizona, United States, if you will. This was a partnership with Mexico, Nogales, because the General Consulate of Mexico attended this, with the General Consulate of the United States, who was stationed in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico, attended. So for everyone to know, there's two Nogaleses, and it's called Ambos Nogales. So we can go into that a little bit later on when we talk about the Battle of Ambos Nogales. So I don't want to get tongue-tied, but when I say Nogales, there's two of them right there on the border, one on Nogales, Arizona, and the other Nogales, Sonora, Mexico.
And I don't know if we have any Nogales residents with us here, but I lived several years in Nogales, and the history of the Buffalo Soldiers, the local history, is something that kind of like exists and people are aware of. But I think, as Manny Coppola pointed out in his story in the Nogales International, is it's kind of like students learn about it if the teacher takes it upon themselves to teach it, and it's just kind of floating around in local lore type thing. So I think it's really great that this is going to become more solidified as like part of the Nogales history. And it sounds like, Mayor Garino and the other people were really receptive to, to you wanting to focus on Buffalo Soldiers.
Oh, yes. The community came out. It was, I want to say, this was an inaugural. I didn't know what to expect, but this so far exceeded my expectations. I'm just so thankful, and just a testament. Look at everyone here on this chat who has an interest. I am just so moved. I'm so appreciative. So again, the mayor is going to declare the last weekend of January, which leads into Black History Month, February, as an annual event. So I will be back, and hopefully I'll see everyone there next year.
Great.
So we have a couple questions in the chat, Kurt. I don't know if it's a good time.
Oh yeah, go for it, yeah.
So Beverly Elliott asks, did any of your family attend the school that you had originally gone there and honored with that plaque?
Absolutely. This school, I have 8 aunts and uncles, all of them except the youngest one who was just much younger. And at the time, my youngest aunt went to school. It was desegregated, but all my aunts and uncle attended this school. It is called Grand Avenue Frank Reed, and it was right there on Grand Avenue in Nogales. It's no longer standing there, but there is a plaque right there, a block from the Nogales Cemetery, right there, honoring and recognizing that school.
Mhm.
Beverly also asked if, did you happen to locate any photos of your grandfather in uniform?
There is that one. Did you want to share that, Sarah?
Yeah, let's definitely share that.
I'm telling you, we only found one photo. This is it. And my grandfather is the second from the right. Thank you for right there. And I understand when I've been speaking to different historians, this is a very unique picture in many ways. Not too many times that you see the K9 unit. So the one picture that we have of my grandfather, and hopefully we'll find, who knows, more, maybe others have it. So this whole reaching out to everybody, the community, maybe we'll find more of not only my grandfather, but other Buffalo soldiers. But there he is, I think at the right age of 20, 100 years ago. Yes.
All right, let's see. We've got some other questions. Did you learn how the Nogales International learned about your grandfather's role when your family hadn't even heard about it?
Okay, yes. My family, the Jackson family, goes back over 100 years. Nogales, you know, when my grandfather, the Buffalo Soldier, was there. However, my uncle, John Jackson, the child of my grandfather, was the first Black Afro-Mexican elected official to the city council, and he was also vice mayor. So during his time in city council, and actually his decades in Nogales, he has done so much for the community. So the newspaper had done a number of stories on my uncle, John Jackson, and my grandfather. And maybe my family didn't read it, or they forgot. I don't know. And that's the kind of discovery I'm still trying to find out. How did that happen? Sometimes we might get answers, sometimes we might not. Unfortunately, my father and other family members have passed on. So this is so important, this newfound knowledge, to share with my family and others before too many people just keep passing on. We don't, mm-hmm. This is too important just to not know and not to share.
Mm-hmm.
So Isla Abernathy had a question in the chat, but I would like if he could unmute himself, because I think it would be a better question coming from him. Isla, if you're okay with that. There we go.
Hi, this is going to be confusing because we have some conflicting information. Tucson Samaritans patrol the area frequently between Nogales, as far as the wall goes, toward, between Sassabee and Nogales. And I think it was in that area, west of Nogales, that might have been east, that some at a Samaritan Zoom meeting reported they had seen an obelisk dedicated to the Buffalo Soldiers, who apparently might have died during the influenza epidemic and been buried there. Since then, we've had a conflicting report from Charles Cameron, a Samaritan who's also a vet and a vet for peace, that he had checked with Fort Huachuca, and there was certainly no official graveyard there. But I know during the influenza epidemic, they were burying people where they fell to avoid contamination. Do you have any information on this? And could you clarify about what happened around between 1918 and 1922?
I will start with saying the Buffalo Soldiers came to Camp Little Nogales in 1918 for the Battle of Nogales, excuse me. And so there again is between the border, United States and Mexico. I see on the call is Mr. Charles Hancock, and he is with the Southwest Buffalo Soldiers Association, and he was there in uniform, so appreciate him. Can you speak to her question, Mr. Hancock? I know you know a lot about the Buffalo Soldiers, and you're from that kind of area, but if not, we'll learn together, or we'll learn in the future.
I guess we will have to learn in the future, because over the last 2 or 3 years, I've received more than one inquiry as to were there any Buffalo Soldiers in that area. I think that's in Ruby, Arizona. Someone has sent me photographs of a plaque that was dedicated to the 10th Cavalry. Since that time, I've checked with Fort Huachuca Museum. In fact, I used to work at the Fort Huachuca Museum, and there's no records on Fort Huachuca that Buffalo Soldiers were ever stationed in that part of Arizona, but it's not conclusive yet. So there's a lot of research that still has to be done to find out exactly whether those burial sites are actually 10th Cavalry Buffalo Soldiers. That would be ongoing.
Mhm.
Thank you, Charles.
Let's see. Brian Gross asks, have you considered a book, website, etc., that would help dispel the misconceptions people, especially African Americans, have about those in the Buffalo Soldiers?
Yes. This again has been a new journey for myself and my family. Less than a year ago, the response has been overwhelming positive. And I'm a newbie to this, so sometimes a little anxious, but I have done a number of interviews, a number of newspaper articles. So this newfound, I don't want to call it fame, but this newfound interest in what I'm doing has a lot of great possibilities. So I'm excited about that. And they're talking about a documentary, something like that, a book. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but there is talk. So thank you.
And I believe, Kurt, didn't you share the her website at the beginning of the chat?
Yeah, the link to your organization is up at the top of the chat. If people are interested in clicking on it.
Yeah. So there's a couple questions that Kent and June had about the K-9 unit, asking what was your grandfather's role in the K-9 unit? What was the K-9 unit used for?
I'm going to speak a little bit to that, but maybe Mr. Hancock can chime in. Now, my grandfather did not speak much about that. I did know him before he passed on. He lived to be just shy of his 99th birthday. But part of my family's not knowing this history of the Buffalo Soldiers is possibly because he did not share a lot of information. So I'm going to say that it varies with different families, but there's I don't want to say a dark side. It was not always positive. The Buffalo Soldiers did face discrimination. So maybe their experience wasn't always positive, and maybe he didn't share that with us. So I don't have details on that. Mr. Hancock, can you speak to that briefly, possibly?
I would ditto your comments. There was so much racism and discrimination levied against the Buffalo Soldiers, to a lot of the information they kept to themselves. They never talked about it. No.
But now we're here to speak on their behalf, if you will, to get the word out. And I think it's so important because Black history is American history.
Sarah asked, do you know what years he served and did he serve in any battles?
He served from 1915 to like 1924, and not active battles. He came to Nogales right after the Battle of Ambos Nogales. That's when the 25th Infantry joined Camp Litto. So they were there, a very important role to patrol the border. Okay, and then after they were there, then that's when the big what do they call, the wall came up. If I might say something, when I was growing up, that wall, of course, didn't exist. It was a very short, like a picket. What do they call that? A little, what do they call that kind of fence? It was very, very short though. But what I found extremely interesting is that my grandfather's property was literally on the United States-Mexico border. So when we left the backyard, when you open up the gate, just like when you go across the street to visit your neighbor, our neighbor was Mexico. Our neighbors right there, it was amazing. And going across the border was commonplace, very easy. We didn't need a passport back then. So that security was quite different back then growing up, and I just so embrace it. So that's part of me telling the Nogales story, was my wonderful roots visiting Nogales as a child and present day.
Thomas asked, were the Buffalo Soldiers stationed at Fort Huachuca?
Oh, and Mr. Yes, they most of them were processed through Fort Huachuca, and my grandfather and hundreds of other then were assigned to Camp Litto to patrol the border between the United States and Mexico.
John Covington mentions about what Isla spoke about, those grave sites, that he has pictures of that. Is that something that you would like sent to me and forwarded on to you for your research into that subject?
Yes, John, can you show your face? John Covington was there, also with Charles Hancock, of course, as I said earlier, but he was with the motorcycle, Sierra Vista Motorcycle Group. It was amazing. No. John, are you there? Oh, hi.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with the Greater Southern Arizona Area Chapter of the 9th and 10th Horse Cavalry Association here in Tucson. Not with the motorcycle group, but those are a bunch of great guys. And so is Trooper Hancock and yourself. And that was just an amazing event down there in Nogales. It just was a great way to kick off Black History Month. And we still are talking about it today. Yes, our group was approached via email years ago, and I still have the emails in the person's name. Unfortunately, I didn't know this subject was going to come up. Well, I'd have been a little bit better prepared, but I do believe I have those pictures. There was a hiker that was hiking down in an area by Arivaca, and she came across those graves, and she did decorate those graves, she told me, or told us. So as soon as I find the pictures and the lady's name, which escapes me right now, I will forward that on to Sarah, and we'll get it to you, and you know, we can talk about that. There's so many great stories and opportunities down here in Southern Arizona. We're still finding out a lot of things. I heard some new information today from a lady visiting from Texas, and I have to research it. She's from San Angelo, Texas, Fort Concho, which the Buffalo Soldiers did have a presence there. So she said the Buffalo Soldiers were also stationed there, all 4 units. So I have to check that out, because I was under the impression that Fort Huachuca had that claim to fame. But I will work on that research and get that story verified and everything. So tomorrow here in Tucson, we are having a flag raising. We opened the Tucson Buffalo Soldier Memorial Plaza last May. And I was just down there today after the rodeo parade, which our entry did win 2nd place for historical entry. We'll have our flag raising tomorrow, but they're also replacing or reinstalling the history plaques that we have down there. But as far as the pictures of the gravesite, I will do some research this evening and get that information to you, Sarah and Donna, and who else? Dr. Ings wants it. Michael Ings, he will. Dr. Michael Ings, who's on the call also, will be doing the narration of the unit history of each of the 4 units, the 9th and 10th Cavalry and the 24th and 25th Infantry, for the flag raising tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you. You know, Sarah, this might be a good time. Do you want to go ahead and show the bios, the pictures of the Buffalo Soldiers
Of course,
out of Nogales?
of course,
Sarah, could I interject? This is Dr. Michael Ings.
of
Can you hear
course.
me?
Yes.
I just wanted to follow up on the comments that have just been made. The reason that many of the Buffalo Soldiers didn't talk about that period is not only about discrimination, it's also about their experience in the punitive expedition of 1916, 1917 in Mexico, and the harsh conditions they had to go through during the punitive expedition. And I think the other thing that is happening in this period that might want to be covered is the last major Indian battle on the continental United States happened just west of Nogales in Bear Valley. And so that's another storyline that you may want to pursue. And it's written up in what's called the Black Military Experience in the West.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just so enjoy this whole journey, just learning. So I'm just learning so much and I just want to share. So thank you. So, okay, great. We're going to share the pictures of the Buffalo Soldiers that we highlighted. And these are the ones that made Nogales their home and raised families after their service. So feel free to take a screenshot. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to acknowledge the name and then we'll take a moment and look at the picture. We're talking about Sergeant Levi Biggs. And I can actually speak just briefly about the Biggs family. Sergeant Biggs and my grandfather, Lucius Jackson, came to Nogales, Camp Little, together from Hawaii. And they have been such great family friends to present day. And when I reached out to start this whole event, it was going to the Biggs family who lives in Arizona, and they have so many such a presence, and they know so many people. They were instrumental in connecting me with so many of the descendants of the Buffalo Soldiers. So I wanted to acknowledge the Biggs family, Levi Biggs. Then we have grown Thomas Clark. He was 10th Cavalry. My grandfather, Sergeant Lucius Franklin Monroe Jackson, 25th Infantry. I saw someone in the chat say about the cavalry versus infantry, infantry on foot, cavalry on horseback, and the cavalry were the original Buffalo Soldiers. So yes, Buffalo Soldiers did extend to infantry, but not everybody knew that or actually knows that. We have Fernandez Boots Jennings, 25th Infantry. And most of the descendants of these Buffalo Soldiers were in attendance. It was wonderful to meet them. William McKinley Jones. Thomas Macon, we did not have a lot of information on him, but this is a whole process of getting this out there, and hopefully we'll get more information on him and others.
Sorry about that.
You're doing a good job, Sarah. I couldn't do it. I'm not, I'm not technically savvy, but I'm getting there. Emerson Smith Mays, 25th Infantry. And as you can see, their kids attended the Frank Reed Grand Avenue School. That's common with all of them. Clifford, Irving, Ray, Roy.
I'm just seeing all these good-looking soldiers. I can just imagine. I can just imagine in little old Nogales, man, it must have caused a stir.
Well, you know what? As we're looking at them, I want to, all due respect, you know, give a moment for us to look at all of them. But the story is that these soldiers, when they made Nogales their home, what is it? Well over 90% of the population of Nogales is Mexican. So they married the local women who are Mexican. And my grandmother, Maria Perez, is from Sinaloa, Mexico. So you have the integration, if you will, of Nogales with the coming of the Buffalo Soldiers. And with this integration, it's a culture. So the kids, the students attended, again, this segregated school, Grand Avenue Frank Reed, but segregated, but they still brought so much culture and integration to the community.
Mhm.
Is my brother Lucius Jackson on this call? Okay.
Yes,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
here, Donna.
Daniel Thornton Jr. Did I miss a name? I apologize if I did.
Yeah, Donna, I'm here.
Oh, hi, Lou. This is my brother, and he's part of the Jackson journey, of course. Our discovery. Did you want to say anything as we're? This is a. Oh, the last one was a collage of graves stones from. We found over 50 Buffalo Soldiers buried at the Nogales Cemetery. And there's many more because some of them are not marked. So part of our journey is to identify Buffalo Soldiers buried and then to get markers for their graves. My grandfather's grave does not indicate that he's part of the military Buffalo Soldiers. Lou, did you want to say a few words? I just wanted to acknowledge you.
No, you're doing a great job. You know, I'm the older brother and she's my little sister, but she's got this down. She's grabbed the bull by the horns or the buffalo by the horns, if you will.
I love it.
So she's run with it, and as she said, it started out as a little knowledge, if you will, information. And next thing you know, we're all getting calls and get on this meeting. And
Yes.
I know you're at work, but all I need is a half an hour and weekends. So she put in tons of work, and you know, she was able to get quite a few of the family members involved on my dad's side. So she's doing a great job. And yeah, we all had a great time down in Arizona. Got to go back there after, I think it had been at least 25, 30 years since I'd been down there. But I don't know if I would have went down there unless it was for something of this magnitude of occasion. So it was good. I had my son, and I'm Lucius Jackson III. My father was Lucius Jackson Jr. And then obviously our grandfather is Lucius Jackson Sr. But I don't know, Donna, did you mention that my son is?
Oh, you know what? I don't know if I can readily find the article. Let me see the picture. You don't common day, but you can't see it. But Lou, how many Lucius Jacksons are there?
Well, there's 3 now. Our father and grandfather passed, but there's total of 5. My son is serving in the Air Force right now up in Spokane, Washington, and he's Lucius Jackson IV. I work for aerospace industry, so they skipped me. I went to school instead, but and then my grandson, who's now 5, he is Lucius Jackson V.
5 generations.
So it's
I love it.
We wanted to keep the name in the family. Obviously, we'll have to talk to our grandson when he gets old enough and gets married. If he's going to keep the legacy going.
There's a great picture of you guys there on the website of and you can't see it, but there's a great picture. Show and tell again. But thank you, Lou. But you know what? I wanted to say that, if I didn't already say that, the Buffalo Soldier exhibit is at the Primera Alta Historical Museum for the month of February, Black History Month. And then it's going to go to Tubac Presidio State Historical Park, the museum there. And this is part of our mission, is to educate communities and students locally and nationwide. And I'm so excited that, again, it's going to Tubac Presidio for March 12th. Is Shannon Stone, the park director, here? Hi, can you speak?
Hello. Yeah, we're super excited. Donna reached out to us. We like to work with the community. And when I took over this position at the History Museum, I had never heard of Camp Little or the Buffalo Soldiers. And I'm from Tucson, born and raised. So it was really startling to me that this isn't more commonplace. I believe it with Kurt earlier, unless you have a good teacher who really wants to educate you, you don't really learn these important aspects of Arizona's history. Camp Little was pretty much the only, or the very first battalion or regiment that was completely prepared and ready to go when World War I happened. You've got the East Coast still really decimated by the Civil War. And so that's just one aspect out of 100 others that makes this story so important and needs to be told. So of course we jumped on this to partner with Donna, and we will be getting the Buffaloes and their soldiers on March 12th. We're going to have an opening here with some of our soldiers, the Spanish soldiers that were stationed here. We'll do a reenactment, have some riders, have some games. We also have a couple other exhibits that are opening too. And it's a free day. So we encourage you to, if you can, come on out. And of course, Donna will be there, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and I think she's going to try to get the mayor of Nogales to come back out. So it should be a lot of fun, and we're just excited to be a part of it. We're working with museum professionals. They're based out of Phoenix to have QR codes made. So that way it's just another element to this that the Tubac Presidio can add. We can add to this story and help people learn, in different ways. And those QR codes are pretty interesting. And to hear maybe somebody talking in the first person of their experience or of a story, maybe even, Donna's grandfather. So we're kind of working out these details at the moment, but it's exciting. Hopefully we'll have the QR codes in time for this opening. So yeah, thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Can someone put that in the chat maybe about what time does it start on the 12th? And it's alongside with the Anza Festival kickoff. So if you don't mind putting that in the chat.
Oh yeah, I'll put it in the chat for sure. Pretty much the historical writers, when they're going to start at 10. So 10 to about 11:30. That's if you want to see them, because they reenact the actual ride from here to Tumacacri. So although it would have been opposite if they're doing it reverse, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, I'll put that in the chat. Thanks, Donna.
Thank you. Actually, do we have anyone from the Primera Alta Historical Museum? Is Faith or Chris Cortland on? Chris Cortland is the president of the board of directors, and Faith was the curator. And if you go see the exhibit, hopefully you will. She was extremely creative, Faith. As the curator, she put all of the bios and information on 8-foot by 8-foot cutouts of buffaloes. So it's an amazing visual.
Did we want to preview, or is that the photos you had sent?
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. Yes.
Oops, let me.
Just wait, they're controlling the screen.
Yeah.
She'll have it on.
There you go. And there's 3 of them. So this is all 3 buffaloes have different information. This is introducing the Camp Little and historic information about the Camp Little and the Buffalo Soldiers. So that's the first buffalo. There's 3 of them. And these are the soldiers. We're highlighting those soldiers who made Nogales their home and raised their families. And then that leads us to the 3rd buffalo, which is highlighting descendants of the Buffalo Soldiers, the children who really contributed greatly to Nogales, and my Uncle Johnny is there, who is again, he was the vice mayor. And then my Uncle David, he was instrumental. He was a historian, if you will, for the high school, for the school. We had reunions, so he would keep everyone together, and it was his information, my Uncle David's, that really we were able to capture the information that he had for all the bios, because not every family was able to get this information. So they were able to look to the bios that my Uncle David put together decades ago. So just wanted to acknowledge so many people. So those are the 3 buffaloes. So it's a great visual amongst so many other things. So when it goes on the road, unfortunately, the entire museum exhibit won't be included because some things are just on loan. And one of them is a original Buffalo Soldier uniform.
It looks like a Tom Crawford. Did you have a question?
No, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. When I'm 83, I used to work with a Buffalo Soldier, a gentleman named Theodore Roosevelt Thias. I don't know how you spell the last name, but when I worked at the Buick dealer in the late 80s, he had worked for GM up in Detroit. Somehow he got down here to the Buick dealer in Tucson, and I had worked with him for quite a while. He used to tell me all his stories about how he rode all around this area on horseback, but a very interesting gentleman, and I'm just glad I got to meet him along the way. I just thought I'd throw that into you guys. I don't know how many people have ever met a Buffalo Soldier, but I worked with one for a couple of years, so I was pretty fortunate, but thank you.
And and also what you said, Mr. Crawford, people, did they know, or they met them, didn't even know that they were Buffalo Soldiers? So that's this whole discovery, which is so exciting.
Yeah, probably no one would have known at the time, but he had told me.
Tell them about your truck.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, later on, he bought a really nice pickup truck. And then when he passed, one of the guys I worked with bought his truck. Well, I traded him the differential. So I still have the differential in my 67 pickup truck. Used to belong to Sarge. So I still have a connection to the gentleman. So, and another little thing, I got to meet a Tuskegee Airman one time. I fly model airplanes for a hobby. And he was a neighbor of one of the guys I fly with. And he used to come out. And one time he came out, we painted all of our Mustangs, which is the kind of plane he used to fly. We painted all the tails red in his memory and stuff. So,
well, with that being said, is going back to Buffalo Soldier Levi Biggs, his son was a Tuskegee Airman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you know what? I want to take a moment. I wanted to acknowledge, as part of our mission again, that we engage students. So this is the logo. Okay. Nogales Buffalo Soldiers. We wanted to create a logo unique to Nogales. Is Professor John Drew from Cal State University Fullerton online? Professor Drew? Okay, well, he was instrumental in getting his students involved in this project. One of the students, particularly, her name is, I want to make sure I say it, Haley Fisher. She actually was the artist after various, what we're going to look like. This is the final. So we want to acknowledge her. Also is Gracia Solorio on the call?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Are we able to see your face?
Yes, let me turn it on.
Okay, look at this amazing artistic work of the Buffalo Soldier. Gracia, do you want to say something about yourself and this, what you learned in this beautiful painting of yours?
Well, hello. Gracia Solorio. I'm a junior at Nogales High School. And basically the whole, the drawings came about when our teacher told us we would be creating artwork for the Buffalo Soldiers, like thing they were gonna do. And we were all like excited, but we were like, what are we doing exactly? And we watched videos and we read, and then we informed ourselves in order to come about, like, think about the designs. And honestly, it was really cool because it wasn't something we had learned about a lot before. So creating the piece, it was just really awesome because I learned about a part of history that I wasn't really taught about, especially from my town, something so important. And while I obviously wanted to include a portrait, I love drawing portraits. I wanted to include them on horseback, the sequoia trees, everything. And just that's how the drawing came about, the design. And honestly, I'm really happy I could get it done and it came out exactly how I wanted it to look.
Now, is this it's hard to see, you know, on Zoom, is this like when you say drawing, is this like a pencil drawing or what? I mean, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yes, it's a pencil drawing. The portrait is like the portrait, the face is a pencil drawing, and the rest I used acrylic paints.
Wow.
For it.
It just looked so detailed, and I mean, that's beautiful.
Thank you very much. I worked hard on it.
Quite a few other students submitted artwork, and it's actually at the museum, Primera Alta Museum. So you want to see that. However, I just had to ask. I asked the principal, Gracia, can I please take this with me? So for just reasons just like this, I want to include that. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
And if you want to see more of her amazing work, go to her Facebook. She's just so talented, so talented.
Thank you so
that's
much.
the mission. That's part of the mission of the Nogales Buffalo Soldiers, is to educate our youth. So thank you.
Speaking of that, Kent had a question in the chat. What is the source of the name Buffalo Soldiers?
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. Oh, I would have been remiss not to discuss that. Okay, the Buffalo Soldiers, they got their name from the Cheyenne Indians, and it's two schools of thought. It's because the soldiers, the Black soldiers, fought bravely, were very fiercely like the buffalo, which the buffalo was very revered in the Indian culture, and possibly that their hair was like the fur, the wool of the buffalo. Mr. Hancock, is that pretty much accurate?
That is the myth that goes around, yes. No one knows exactly when that nickname was given to the buffalo, to the African Americans. So I'm sorry, the colored soldiers. But yeah, that's part of the myth, yes.
GL Smith, I see you're unmuted and you had put a comment. Would you like to verbalize that comment you shared? Are you there, GL Smith? Well, maybe if they hear us later, they can.
That's Gloria Smith, and she is a member of our chapter.
Recorded.
There she is.
Can you see me?
We can see and hear you. I wanted to see if you could share your comment instead of just in the chat.
It was a sign of tribute from one warriors to another warrior. Some of the 9th and 10th Horse Cavalry Association that was here in 1991 told us about that. And Vision Quest did a lot more research about it, but I would like to mention Clarence Jolivet, who came from Nogales, Arizona. His dad was a Buffalo Soldier, and he was a tour guide that took us down to Camp Stephen D. Little and told us about life in that area.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, Trooper Jolivet was a member of our chapter also. As a matter of fact, we have our scholarship named after him.
Oh, how wonderful.
Look at all these connections happening today. I love it.
Wonderful. And actually, I'll be down in Nogales in Arizona middle of March. So I would love to meet some of you in person if anyone wants, if there's something going on. So many people have emailed me, and I will be meeting with them on my upcoming visit. So I'm so excited. You know what? I apologize. I have to give a plug. I keep talking about students, and this the T-shirt was actually printed by students, high school students, and it's called the Spider Lab Printing in Brea, California. And this allows students in their part-time after school getting credits, or who might want to pursue this as a career. But they put together the t-shirts and just so many other materials for this event. So I wanted again to acknowledge all the students who contributed to this.
That's amazing. And I just want to share, everyone in the chat is also, just showing appreciation for this chat happening today, but also I feel like I'm going to butcher your name. Is it Grecia, the young student? Is that how you say her name?
Yes, Grecia.
Grecia, thank you. I apologize if I said that wrong.
No worries.
Yes, how beautiful your work is, and it's so nice to see a young one involved in that. And I think Kurt and I also want to echo, we love seeing young ones' opinions on our pages of the editorial pages. And like projects like this, where, it was maybe something that you hadn't heard about, share with us, because not only we want to hear about it, but people in the community, like, hey, I didn't know that this happened and I just learned about it, and this is what I think about it. Like, we love hearing your perspective because it's so important.
We also love seeing it as well. You seem like a very talented artist. So we have local cartoonists who contribute to the opinion pages. If you would ever be interested, or if you know someone at NHS who'd be interested, feel free to be in touch.
Of course, thank you so much. Thank you for all the kind words, everyone.
Sarah, are there any more photos that you have that we might not have shared? I was just thinking, I'm looking at the time now. Ooh, it's almost.
Yeah, the photos that we have were a couple from the event, like where you were receiving like the flag, and with some officials is what I've got.
That was so moving. Will you be able to share that?
Of course.
So we had the big Saturday event, and then Sunday we were at the Nogales Cemetery, where we acknowledged and paid tribute to the Buffalo soldiers who are buried there. Oh, okay. That is the proclamation. Mayor Godino. Okay. The ribbon cutting for the museum. Who is that handsome man there in uniform?
I don't know. We've seen too many handsome men in uniform today. I don't know.
I will own up to that, Charles Hancock.
Yes. And then again, those are the Council Generals for Mexico and the United States. Significant that they attended. And then Faith, and the lady is in the red. She is the curator, and was so creative with having everything on the Buffalo Soldiers. So thank you for posting this picture. Yes. Yes, the city council with the mayor again, and the general counsel. Okay, that was, I just knew Sunday was going to be special, paying a tribute to the Buffalo Soldiers. So we had Fort Huachuca there, the color guard doing the 21 gun salute, and then he presented me with the flag, and I just teared up. It was just so emotional. It was just beautiful, in my opinion. So love this.
And I think, oh, here we go. We got one more.
There we go. The flag, half staff, half mast, half staff. And and the gentleman behind, he's a city council, Joe Diaz, but he's also was the veteran foreign, I don't want to, how do I say that? VFW. And he read the names of the Buffalo soldiers buried at Nogales Cemetery. It was moving. It was amazing. So, and then we had again the cavalry come there dressed in the 1800 uniform. It was just a beautiful historic weekend. Anything?
Donna?
Those were the pictures.
Yeah,
yep, that was all.
Yes.
Hey, Donna. Yeah.
Yes, Charles.
Yeah. Before you close, I see we have a person in the chat. Her name is Mrs. Christine Rhodes. Christine has a very interesting story. If I can get her to briefly tell her story about her involvement at the Buffalo Soldiers. Christine.
Well, I'm a proud member of the Southwest Association of Buffalo Soldiers, but I grew up living in a Buffalo Soldier camp, Camp Naco, which also has a big history.
Yes. Oh, okay. So you text me, you emailed me last night. Was that it? Was that you, Christine?
I'm not sure if I emailed you, but
Oh,
anyway,
or you emailed Sarah. And,
yes,
okay,
I emailed Sarah. Now,
and
I
then I
grew
got
up in Camp Naco,
okay.
which was also a Buffalo Soldier camp.
Okay, well, Mr. Charles Hancock and I visited Camp Naco that weekend because we are interested in including more camps and stories for the future. So we went to Camp Naco, and so Christine, we're going to reach out to you because maybe you can help us connect with some of the history there. Mr. Hancock, you want to say anything to that?
Just let me know the date and the time. I'm always available.
You know, and again, I'll be down there next month. I don't know, but we're in a discovery phase, and this is so exciting. So thank you for joining us. You know what? I wanted to say before we exit, we end this amazing call. Can I please just say that going on the road, I said that it's going to go to California. So for Juneteenth, which is the holiday that commemorates the emancipation of enslaved people in the United States, the museum exhibit will be there in Pomona at the African American Museum of Beginnings. The curator is Khalif. I have partnered with him. He was there also attending the Nogales event, but I'm a city commissioner on the Community Life Commission, appointed by Mayor Tim Sandoval. So Pomona is ready for this exhibit. So it's exciting. And so if I can just take a moment before we wrap up, I just really want to take a moment to support everybody, our supporters. So I'm just going to read briefly: Mayor Godino, the city of Nogales, Principal Tim Colgate, he's principal of Nogales High School, artist Gracia Solorio, the jazz band that performed from Nogales High School, the Primera Alta Historical Society, Cal State Fullerton, Professor John Drew and the students, Haley Fisher, who created the logo, the Spider Lab, who printed everything, and I want to acknowledge the descendants of the Buffalo Soldiers who were there, the Nogales International Newspaper, of course, Arizona Daily Star, Sarah Brown, Kurt, the Southwest Association of Buffalo Soldiers, Kurt Hancock, John Covington, everyone. If I please introduce yourself if I was and I missed someone, but thank you so much.
There's a comment in the chat by Paula, and I just wanted to reiterate it because I think it resonates with maybe how some of us feel, saying, I feel my American history education has been augmented. Praises to Donna Jackson-Houston. And I think it's such an important education because it's something that maybe a lot of us weren't really aware of. So you're bringing awareness.
Oh, that is my pleasure. Are we able to capture everything in the chat? I have not been able to look at that, but are we able to copy all that, capture everything?
Yeah, I'll have that after the chat and I can email it to you.
Thank you. Thank you. This has just been so rewarding. Again, beyond my expectations. I had this goal, and as I'm going about trying to achieve it, it needs everybody, the village, everybody to make this happen. So thank you to everybody, and feel free to reach out to me on the website. I can't put in the chat right now, but my information's on the website and all the articles. So feel free to keep reaching out to me. And if you can't find that, please contact Sarah Brown. I would so appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. This has been tremendous. I can just reiterate everything that's already been said, but this is a great education. And I very much appreciate the other people who, we have a handful of experts who are all popping out of the woodwork as we were doing this. That's fantastic. And so I hope that this conversation continues. I hope the study continues. And I hope to learn more about more Southern Arizona history. So again, Donna, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for all the work that you've done to put all this together. It's wonderful.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you. And if I can ask a small request for some of those who ask questions, feel free. Maybe you can email me, Nogales Buffalo Soldiers @gmail. Very simple. The professors, just anyone, I would love to hear from you and kind of have a further dialogue, okay?
Great.
Oh, we have to end with, come on, onward, onward. That is the motto of the Buffalo Soldiers, the infantry, but what is it for cavalry? Onward and forward? Forward and onward. One of those two, but I just want,
we can, we will.
We'll end with that.
We can, we will.
Yes. Oh, I just love seeing everybody and just your participation. Heartfelt thanks. We'll see each other again soon.
Absolutely. All right. And next week we'll do another reader chat. This one is going to be me answering questions from readers. It won't be as exciting or as interesting probably because this is a pretty high bar, but I will do my best. I guess with that, we will do. Thank you so much to everybody for showing up. This has been fantastic.